Oh, man.
Hey, Old Man on the Mat crew. This is Tony Jones coming at you with another great episode of Old Man on the Mat. I hope you guys are having another great year, start of a great year. Hope you guys have been sticking with your goals. It's kind of tough because after the first couple of weeks of the new year, it seems like the goals just sort of fall off. And I know that's not for you guys. And I know it can be tough. If you do fail in your goals for the new year, you start over. Just keep starting over. It doesn't stop until you stop. Got it? But hey, guys, we have a new guest here. Oh, not even a new guest. We have a return guest here. You guys gave some good feedback for her. You guys were asking for more, so we talked her into coming back. She cleared some of her time on her schedule. Just come in and talk to us again. So with that, guys, I give you Jennifer S. How you doing, Jennifer?
Hey, Tony, I'm doing good.
Good. That's good. Looks like we had a little trouble in the beginning trying to get connected, but that's okay. That's all right.
We worked it out. We worked it out all right.
Right? So how's your new year going? I know I just came back from a great cruise and was in Mexico for a week, and I come back to this crap. This weather. I just shoveled my truck out today. So
well, I'll tell you what, I like the cold. I like snow. I like all that winter has to offer. So it's soup and fireplace stuff, and the cold doesn't bother me. I'm a kid from the 78 snowstorm, so this is kind of fun for me.
Oh, you know what? You got issues. I tell you, I hate the cold. I'm telling you, I shiver no matter what. I was born and raised in Chicago, and I can't take it. Give me hot weather anytime. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But anyway, somebody's gotta like it. So what have you been up to since last time we talked?
You know what, Tony? I've been really, really busy. As you know, I'm reemerging my business, and it was just like a flood. I had people who I haven't talked to or clients who I haven't talked to in either weeks or months or years reach out and say, oh my God, we love hearing you. The podcast was awesome. And what are you up to? And what are you doing? And what services are you rendering these days? And it was just very kismet, very synchronicity. Kind of just helped me understand that I was on the right track getting back into this world.
Okay, that's really good, and that's what we want. Like with the podcast we talked about before. Like I tell everyone, it says "old man on the mat," but it's basically for anyone that's I say older, anyone over the 40s. I use quotation marks when I say that, but anyone that's still out there hitting it, getting out there, even if they're not out on the, they're still on the couch a little bit. They're trying to think about getting out there, so they're not out there, but they're doing everything they can to get out there. And you've been out there before. You've pushed yourself to the highest levels before. You trained some of the highest athletes out there. So you know what it takes to get back. So this time I want to dive more into trying to pick up on what we talked about last time. Cool. Because I did take a ton of notes from that I took a ton of notes, and I did try to implement some of those. One I had an issue with was trying to take a crap 3 times before you get out of bed or something like that. First thing in the morning, I was like, how does she get these guys to take a bowel movement before noon 3 times? That's crazy. But
Tony, awesome, I'm laughing. You can't will yourself to crap.
I was trying. I was like, she said 3 times. I'm going to try it.
So that's interesting. That's a great place to start. So proper GI transit generally comes from an individual who's hydrated properly for anywhere from, I would say, 24 to 72 hours, providing that the hydration is mineralized. And then lo and behold, boom shakalaka, in more ways than one, individuals start to see that proper hydration generally leads hand in hand with proper elimination, believe it or not.
Okay, I believe it. I always thought I had great hydration. And I think I know I started maybe a couple months ago adding a little sea salt to my water. And to try to get more hydrated. I feel more hydrated. I don't know if I got that from you or we talked about last time.
We did. We did. And happily, it's becoming more mainstream to talk about remineralizing water. And there's lots of different methods to do it. But basically, first of all, you have to know, Tony, how much water to drink. Gotcha. So that's based on body weight, actually. So whatever you weigh, you divide that in 2. You get a number, right?
Right.
Minimally, without even exercising, without sweating a lot, that number is X, and that's how many ounces of water per day you need to be consuming throughout the day, not pounding here and there, and not with meals. That's
okay.
number one.
Oh, that's without meals. Okay.
Not with meals. And then to that, a basic amount of remineralization can be added. Now, I don't give like formulas generally to people who I don't know that are specific, but a broad approximation would be 2 to 3 pinches of like a Celtic sea salt and some lemon slices is a really good place to start. And then as I work with people individually, we get more into adding trace minerals or magnesium powders or potassium or whatnot, because that's kind of more of an individualistic recipe. But 2 to 3 pinches of sea salt and some lemons, and that's a really good start.
Okay. Now, should we drink that? Let's say for most people they say you should have like a glass of water as soon as your eyes open in the morning. Is that when you should start?
I've read that modality from your body's many cries from water. Basically, that's those studies, which are awesome. Everybody should read that book. But when I'm working with people, let's say you have to drink a gallon of water. You know what I tell people? Just drink it throughout the day slowly. A good idea is to take a Sharpie on a container that holds everything you need to drink that day.
Okay.
And say you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So you're going to take that Sharpie and you're going to go 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon, 2, 4, 6, and then a couple hours before bedtime, 8 p.m., right?
Okay.
And that way every couple of hours I have to drink about this much.
Okay.
All right? And that's a really good way to just sip it slowly, because otherwise it's just going to pass right through you and you're going to pee it out without it absorbing into your cells, which is what you want.
Okay. And the only time you'll know if you're truly hydrated, if you're doing those things, if you're, like you said, if you're having regular bowel movements, you're urinating properly, normal times. What's the normal time for urination? You know what I mean? If you're hydrating like that, should you be urinating every hour, every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes? What should it look like?
Well, if that can be a lot of different things. So we can have issues that create bladders that can only hold a certain amount of liquid, but barring that variable between men and women in pregnancies and prostate issues or et cetera, yeah, you're going to be peeing what feels like every half hour.
Okay.
But so what? I mean, eventually it's not that bad because your bladder becomes accustomed to holding more water. And here's the thing. This is like a bigger answer to a question you haven't asked yet. Think of all of your cells in your body like marbles. Okay. And when we drink water that's not permeating to the cell, it kind of passes through, just passes around those marbles. Okay. And as we become more hydrated, those cells recognize that hydration level. It's amazing, actually, that they can do this. And they open up kind of like a deodorizer ball that's got all those holes in them that you can twist, and the holes open bigger. You've seen those like for closets and whatnot?
Yep.
Okay, so I want you to imagine that a cell can do that. All of your cells have the ability to become more permeable, but think of it as those little holes opening up bigger, and guess what happens? Water can pass through and bad things can pass out, right?
Okay.
So good things in, bad things out. And it's not just water, nutrition in, toxicity out, hormones in, etc. Do you see how cells receive things and then they need to exit things?
Okay.
And you're not drinking enough water, your cells know it, and they will not open up. They will not become permeable to receiving 100% of the fluid around them. And so what ends up happening is oftentimes people are drinking water that is based on their weight, and they're dehydrated because those cells are not opening. And this creates massive amounts of problems. I mean, you could spend an hour just talking about hydration, but to keep it simple, you need about 3 days of drinking your mathematical formula throughout the day, slowly with patience, not with meals, and look for increased bowel movements, look for more frequent urination, look for your urine color to obviously become lighter.
Right.
You don't want it too light, though. You don't want it to be completely clear. That's not good either.
Okay.
And of course, then when you're exercising, you should notate that your perspiration comes on sooner and all over your body, not just in certain areas.
Okay. Now, when people do these, on that same note, when people do these liquid detox or detox for like 3 days and of only drinking water, is that healthy? Is that something to do?
Okay, well let's reverse engineer that question. Okay.
Okay.
You have different areas of the body that are what we call detox pathways. Your ability to defecate, your ability to sweat, your kidneys' ability to process toxins and fluids, your lymphatic system, which whether or not it's actually circulating properly in your body, and it doesn't circulate unless you're in movement or lymphatic massage, your exhalation, which deep exhalations, respirations are part of your detox.
Okay.
So think about the average person who isn't sweating, isn't hydrated, so they're really not perspiring 100%. They're constipated, right?
Gotcha.
And they are really not in deep exercise where they are breathing properly and respirating throughout the day.
Okay.
And they decide to go on any kind of a cleanse, doesn't matter what it is. And you're stirring up all that icky stuff. And it has no way to get out.
Gotcha.
So it just kind of, think about that. If you have a dirty fishbowl and it looks pretty clear, but if you stir the rocks and all the poop kind of like goes everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Well, unless you're putting clean water into the fishbowl and letting the dirty water come out, you're really not doing yourself a service.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
to just say, well, should I do a 3-day water fast, which I know exactly what you're talking about, by the way.
Okay.
My answer is no. I'm going to put a hard no on that. Despite all the studies and whatnot, when I meet people, my first goal is to create hydration in the body, to allow the body to learn to sweat, to allow the body to defecate properly, to increase sleeping patterns for repair, to do all those things we kind of talked about before I stir up the fishbowl.
Okay. So
Does
just
that make sense? Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, when they're looking at these detox, so let's do it this way. When you have someone, let's say you have a beginner person coming in, someone who's just been out of shape for forever. I'm going to say forever, but who's been out of shape, who wants to get started, a little older, knock on wood, our crew, a little older. They want to get in the gym. They want to start, not even just in the gym, they want to start getting better, getting healthier. What's their first step? Is it just the hydration is the first step?
Absolutely. I mean, so this is actually not even like a hypothetical or a theoretical opinion. When people come to me, whether they are former athletes or they've never stepped foot in a gym before, I spend a week insisting on everything we're talking about, and they know it. Like people who worked with me before know it. She's going to insist that I go back to hydration. She's going to check my perspiration. She wants me attending to my sleep. She's going to ask me if I'm dreaming. She's going to put me through the rigmarole for about a week until all systems are go, because if I'm going to ask the body to repair itself, I need it to be able to absorb nutrition, to utilize oxygen, to eliminate toxins. I am not even going to start that process until I've kind of revved up the engine. It takes me about a week to get somebody there.
Okay.
If you're not working with me, what you need to do is maybe just see what happens if you hydrate properly for 3 or 4 days. See what happens if you restore your sleep pattern to where you're dreaming again.
Gotcha.
Right?
Right.
Start eating regularly. I don't want someone coming to me who's been fasting and thinks it's time to get going. Are you kidding me? And have them pass out on the mat?
Good
So,
point. Very good point.
well, I mean, we don't know, if you have someone who has hypoglycemia or someone who has blood sugar issues and they decide not to eat for 3 days, now they're jazzed because the scale went down 6 pounds and they go to the gym for the first time for an intro session and they pass out because they have low blood sugar.
Gotcha.
So again, I did light my candle. I don't want to get like preachy and stuff like that, but no, that's not where we start. Yeah.
Flow on. Whatever you got to say it. Get preachy if you have to. That's fine. Because I think people want to hear this stuff. I really do. Especially, I know I want to hear this, and I can't be the only person out there that's of this age bracket that still wants to be viable, wants to be strong, still want to be able to move and touch your toes and do all that stuff that older people can't do. Right. So go.
Yeah. I mean, we'll think of it this way, Tony. Our hydration level is completely linked to the viscosity of our bloodstream. Okay. So if you have thicker blood, and that's really not a medical term, but think about it, thicker blood, and you're going to raise your heart rate, and you have a history of high blood pressure or cholesterol or whatnot, and you've been away from the mat or you've been away from exercise or activity, the last thing that you want is a bloodstream that isn't running smoothly. So hydration takes care of that. Proper minerals in the body. What does our heart need to beat? Proper electrolytes, right? Yeah. What do our muscles need to have the energy to do what we ask of them? Glucose. So fasting
from glucose, on that real quick.
Yeah.
On the glucose level, like, real quick, what type of glucose? Where can it come from that's good for you?
Well, glucose is glucose, so that's kind of the muscles don't care where it comes from, but that's a good question. Okay. What's good for you? Fruits, vegetables, low glycemic carbs, everything. I'm not a food group eliminator, so that's a good question, and that's a secondary topic. Whole food, food prepared correctly, combined correctly, and that's a whole nother science too, and we can touch on that, but that's the complicated answer. But an easy answer is a little oatmeal in the morning with some blueberries and maybe some whole eggs from a good farm, and an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, after digesting, you're ready to go. Hit the gym.
Gotcha. So I didn't mean to cut you off where you're on a roll there, and I did, but I just wanted to hear about the glucose, because you hear that a lot, how, glucose, sugars, whatever it is, also bad. Want to make sure we're on the right track with that.
So there's all kinds of different words for interchangeable words. You've got sugar, you got glycogen, you have glucose, dextrose. Sometimes we're referring to something that's been converted to a usable form of energy by a muscle. Sometimes we're referring to just a basic ingredient in a foodstuff. But from an exercise point of view, you want a certain amount of blood sugar status prior to exercise, because exercise is the stimulation to the muscle growth that comes later. It is not, we don't exercise to burn fat. We exercise to stimulate the body to grow tissue and to stimulate positively systems. Fat loss comes from regulating your blood sugar throughout the day so that your body utilizes fat as a preferred fuel source. Now, most people think exercise is what you do to burn off what you've eaten so that you don't create fat.
Right. That's what I hear all the time. Exactly. Yes.
No.
Well, tell us.
No, that's a dieting concept. And that is not how it can be done that way. You can have the scale move in the direction you think is positive. But if you're looking to burn fat as a fuel source, then the purpose of exercise is to create strength, grow muscle tissue, stimulate your heart and your lungs so that you're healthier, stimulate your hormones in a positive way. And then your eating style encourages whether or not you burn sugar, fat, or your own tissue.
Okay.
So it's a different way of looking at it. And it's the proper way of looking at it because you don't want to burn your own tissue. And the only time that you want to use sugar as a fuel source primarily and not burn fat in activity is when you're out of oxygen, when you're in oxygen. So I think I'm being confusing here. You can burn fat during exercise if you're in the right blood sugar status, but you don't exercise to burn fat that you've gained through improper means. I guess that's the best way to say it. Exercise is not how you lose weight. Exercise is how you build tissue, proper muscle tissue. Does that make sense?
Oh, that does. That makes a lot of sense. So when people are doing all, could you hear right now, especially, this is great. I'm loving that we're talking about this now because it's the second week of the new year and everyone starts those new diets, new year, new me, right? So all these fad diets, some people don't eat, intermittent fasting. Some people just do all protein, cut out all the carbs. What's the other? There's so many. I'm sure you've heard of them all,
Yeah.
And most of them, I would assume, are not good for the body. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah. So there's the quick way. You can get into the house many different ways: through the window, through the back door, right? But through the front door, where is the proper way? There's the way that's sustainable. So you don't want to lose weight at the expense of your endocrine system, at the expense of your thyroid, at the expense of your hormones, at the expense of your own tissue, right? Okay. You want fat as a fuel source to be something that doesn't create toxic in its status, which can happen if you try to go into ketosis right off the get-go.
Okay.
And believe it or not, it's a slower start. But once you get rolling, if you do it in this manner, not only is it sustainable, but you end up changing quicker and faster in the long haul to where most people won't believe that you're doing it the right way after a certain amount of time.
Okay.
Because in the beginning, you're just jogging, but it's a sprint mid-race and end race to where you blow by everybody else. And then you look younger. So have you ever been at a party where someone's lost a lot of weight and you don't know whether or not you should congratulate them, or you have to ask people who know them whether or not they're sick?
They don't look as healthy and all that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you lose fat, you want to look vibrant. You want your skin glowing. You want circulation. You want people to think that you've turned back the hands of time. You don't want to look tired and haggard and gray but have 4 sizes smaller of pants, right?
Right.
So I don't know. Do you want me to keep going?
Okay. I was waiting for another part of that because I was sitting just writing this down. Like, okay, don't want to do this, don't want to do that. Well, you're right though. So what is a good? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To give the listeners something to kind of chew on, there's a book out there by Tosca Reno. I recommend this to everyone. And it's not even in print anymore. It's called The Eat Clean Diet. Okay. But she did not invent this. This is sound principles of blood sugar regulation that she just created a very user-friendly book for. And there's no reason for me to rewrite the book because she did it excellently. And if the readers could just find that on Amazon, I think it's out of print and under $10.
Okay.
It's a very self-explanatory 4-day bathroom read. Don't skip the charts. Read it like you are reading the secret gem of all times. And that book will do more to explain what I'm talking about than anything. That in conjunction with Barry Sears and his books from way back when on the Zone diet that explains blood sugar regulation and how that affects metabolism. Those 2 books will do more for any listener to explain what I am perhaps not succinctly explaining than I can ever do. That's what I ask my clients to do. That arms them with enough information to be able to go along with the program long enough to get pretty damn excited once they see the results happening almost miraculously by actually eating, by actually increasing their metabolism instead of decreasing it, trying to move that scale a notch or 2.
Okay. Okay. So that goes along too, as I've heard before, because by no stretch am I an expert in this area by any stretch. But I do love the information that I get and I learn from it. So I always dive into this stuff. So when you're talking about, I'm going to touch base on something here you just said about eating less versus eating more. You mean like more meals a day. Is that still a thing to do? You hear so many people say you want to eat 5 or 6 little meals a day, or some people say you only eat 2 meals a day. What's your thought process on that?
Okay. So I generally counsel people and say no sooner than 1.5 and no later than 3 hours between meals.
Okay.
And that's kind of my rule when we begin. And this is what regulates blood sugar. So to think of it this way, every 1.5 to 3 hours, your body, and this is not exactly how it is, but just imagine your body checks its sugar to see how much you've got, right? How much is in that bloodstream? Do I have enough to do what I need to do? If it's too high, it tries to lessen it. If it's too low, it switches gears and doesn't want to burn sugar. It wants to burn something else. And guess what? It's generally not fat. It's generally you.
Okay.
But if you have just the right amount, kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, just the right amount of blood sugar throughout the day, the body feels, hey, this is pretty cool. I'm not starving. I got enough to do what I've got to do. And there's not too much to create a problem. So you know what? I'll go ahead and burn fat. That sounds like a great idea. I don't need to burn sugar. I got just what I need. And I don't need to burn tissue because I don't think I'm starving. And it's just as simple as that, Tony.
Oh, okay.
And so it's for everyone. If you're a human being, that's how it works. Okay. You start from there, and you can add other modalities as you kind of regulate your blood sugar and your metabolism goes up, and all of those things start working together: hydration, elimination, detoxification. It's a happy family of doing things in a certain order.
Okay. So people are going to basically have to do their own research out there. Just look, there's so many things out there, do their own research, try things and see what works for their body, or find someone like yourself to walk them from A to Z.
Everybody should advocate for themselves and not take anybody's word for it. But unfortunately, we live in a world where those who are selling or those who are creating services understand their audience and their public, and understand that most people, they want results pretty quickly, and they want to do the least amount to get there, aka Ozempic, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So what I say is, find a good coach. Reach out to me. Reach out to the books that I've mentioned, and try doing it in a way that seems counterintuitive to the quick fix industry, and see what happens. And you'll be amazed. You won't need to be convinced, because your body will tell you automatically. And it takes a leap of faith, because people don't want to feel full, right? They feel better when they feel quote unquote empty.
Okay.
And they feel better when they're exercising to offset what they've eaten. That's the mindset we've all been. But that is not how. If I have a fighter and he has to be on the scale in a certain amount of time, I've never gotten him there by taking his food away. It's always been by giving him more.
Okay.
So same thing with women. Women come to me, they want to lose 25 pounds. I've never had one where I had to stop her from eating. It's always I have to get her to eat more.
Okay. And that was going to lead to my next question, because now, as you said, as you were talking earlier, or I mentioned earlier, as I'm sure you know these numbers better than I do, after the first year, the New Year's resolutions, it's within the first 2 weeks, everything starts falling off because they haven't seen those fast results. And then within the first month, everybody's back to, not everybody, but a great number of people are back to square one. So how would you, let's say a generic person walked into you, male or female, it says January 1. I want to lose 20 pounds. I got a wedding. I'm going in March, or whatever it is. I need to get there fast. How do I do this?
Okay, well, I can help anybody lose weight fast at the expense of their health. I know those tricks So I can take off an extremely large amount of weight and make someone look smaller in a week or two, and I can completely have them rebounded and destroyed for months, if not years, as a result of that. So that's one answer. And I'm not going to say how to do that.
Right.
There are ways.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's number one. Ironically, although I'm telling you that this is the right way and perhaps not quote unquote fast, in reality, it is fast because the scale, and I hate to say a bad word, is a whore. And it doesn't tell you what amount of weight that is on the scale belongs there and what doesn't. So it can move 5 to 7 pounds in a day based on fluid and based on fecal matter and based on what you've eaten.
Okay. Right.
What I can tell you is this: the average person who works with me loses, ironically, 20 to 25 pounds in the first 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
But they don't feel like they are in the first 2 weeks because they're doing everything opposite of what their mind thinks will lose weight, which is counterproductive to their thought. They're like, wait a minute, I'm drinking water, I'm exercising less, she wants me to sleep. What is this about the pooping? Why am I eating so much food? And then boom, the next thing they know, they start to look shredded as fast as can be because they're gaining tissue, losing toxic body fluid, losing toxic waste, and the exercise that they're doing is actually giving them a higher return for muscle density. And when all those things happen, it's more about inches. Do most people lose 20 to 25 pounds? Yes, in about 4 to 6 weeks. If I'm going to tell somebody how to do it, it's always the same answer. Do it the right way and have faith and see it through. Don't try to cherry pick like, oh, I like the idea of drinking water, but I'm going to still do cardio and not eat because I feel more comfortable eating less. You have to just buy into the whole thing. That's truly the way that it is.
Right.
Do it all together. And a lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Henceforth, our society, we're a heavier society. Not pointing fingers at anyone, but we are a heavier society and a less healthy society right now. And we want, like you said earlier, we want that quick fix that, hey, give me the pill, I'm fine. They just have all that stuff out now, so people usually go for that, which is sad.
Well, here's the good news. So let's say you're week 1 into hydration. Ladies out there, all of your friends are going to ask you where you're going to go are you going to see a dermatologist for injections? Because literally the skin starts to glow like no other. Okay. That pooch, that area below the navel just starts to flatten because now you don't have fecal matter. And most people don't know what it feels like to eliminate 3 to 4 times a day. So you get that flat, poochy area right off the get-go. Skin quality changes for men and women. All of a sudden, it's tighter, right? It's not as wrinkly. It's not as crepey. Energy levels. The energy levels that you thought would take months of exercise and nutritional changes comes right away when you regulate your blood sugar. All of a sudden, you're just bouncing off the walls. Okay? You're sleeping better and you're waking up refreshed. Your attitude changes. Your sex drive increases. For men, I'm going to say something else. Your erections are right on time, the way that you want them to be, and they last. Guy clients love that part. I always ask them, just let me know when you were reminded of what it's like to be 16 at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha.
Right? So all of these things, when they start happening for clients within 2, 3, 4 weeks, now they don't mind kind of doing things the hard way because they're not just looking good, they're feeling good, and their lives are changing, and their ability to do things, it's beyond their wildest dreams. And that's why you get on a program, because you want to be, you want to be vibrant, you want to have energy, you want to have a good mood, you want to enjoy the day. You don't want to be like, oh, I look great, but I'm exhausted and I can't get my freak on. And, I have to use tons of makeup because I'm looking older every day, even though my pants are looser. I mean, that's not what we're hoping for.
Right. Gotcha. Well, that does make sense. Well, let me ask you this. now we've started, like the person started hydrating. They come to you, they started hydrating, they started on that process. They're listening to you, they're following you. What type of things do you have them do? Or can you explain more about as you were talking about before, just had a brain loss here for a minute. We were talking about how to detox for real, how to do a real detox strategy for your life. Something that works, something to take care of, something you can do, all day long. That's not going to make you feel tired or anything like that.
Right. So proper hydration is a daily detox because it allows the cells to open completely, receive nutrition, and exit toxins. And a lot of times what people don't realize is cells need to be open and permeable to receive hormones. So you see, have you ever heard people say, I went to the doctor and he said my hormones are fine, but they're not?
Yeah.
Okay. So your cells are only as good as what they can receive, and what they can get rid of that is toxicity. So if you're dehydrated, your cells are holding on to toxicity. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So proper hydration, which is not sexy and boring and a pain in the butt because you're peeing all the time, is your number one strategy of detox, not picking 3 days out of the calendar just to drink water. It's daily, day in, day out, minute in, minute out, learning how to do it so that it serves you. That's number one. Number two, mineralizing that water so that it does permeate the cell. It just can't be pure water. Sometimes that can backfire, especially if you're an athlete and you're taking in lots of water. It will actually leach your electrolytes away and those cells will shut. And that can be disastrous.
Okay.
Right? Secondly, lymph system doesn't have a heart to pump. It only moves if we move, right? So exercise, walking or rebounding or jumping rope is excellent for lymphatic cleansing. You got to have clean lymph. You don't have clean lymph, you're in big trouble, right?
Okay.
Third thing, breathing. Inhaling and exhaling deeply is your another huge source, right, of detoxing.
Okay.
Right? So urination and fecal elimination, proper elimination. So you see how the actual going about it and seeing that these things happen on a daily basis always and that they never slow down is a daily detox. It's a lifestyle of detox. It's not taking a pill or drinking something green or taking X amount of days out of the calendar to erase months or years of not having these pathways open. It's just not possible. It's just not possible.
So it all does start with hydration, just to flush the system constantly.
It really, really does. If those cells are shut, not much is going to happen. It's the cause of all disease. Once those cells cannot receive the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff, and that's just, simplistic words, what supplement or magic day of the calendar where you don't take things in, how's that going to help you? If your immune system is getting boosted from not drinking, from not eating food for 3 days, what good is that if your cells can't release their toxins or take in any of those new elements that you're trying to gain from not eating? It just can't. It's counterproductive. It's the type of science that makes me mad as a practitioner, because on the one hand, the data is, the statistics are true of what they're telling you, but when you use it on the average human, it doesn't apply. So you have to look at the people who are trying to use these strategies and really look at where they're at and say, will this strategy work on this person right now based on how their body is? And the answer is most of the time, not yet. Not yet. We need to do X, Y, Z. And then if we take this strategy and we implement it, then it's going to work really, really well from them. But it isn't a way around doing all of the day in and day out stuff. Okay.
Gotcha. Now that goes in the same lines of metabolic healing. We were talking about before about, eat for nutrition density. I think we covered that already with blood sugar control and fat loss, correct?
Right. So your thyroid is very well aware of how much food you're taking in. Ask any bodybuilder. The more you diet, the harder it is to diet. And your thyroid is listening somewhat, or I should say checking to see what's going on with you at all times. And if you're not eating, if people think it takes years to destroy your metabolism, it doesn't. It happens within hours because your body's always, your body's always paying attention to what's going on. And your thyroid downregulates as quickly as you can downregulate your intake. So the concept of trying to fool your body into weight loss is just that. It's foolish because your body always, its job is to survive, not to look good in a bathing suit.
Okay, gotcha. Makes sense. Makes sense. I like that though. I like what you just said. I like that, where your body's job is to survive.
And here's another thing. If you're not eating all day, you know what your body doesn't say? It doesn't go, oh my God, look at my fat ass. I haven't eaten all day.
Right.
Scotty, let's start burning all that ass fat pronto. Look, our body's on the treadmill. Let's get going. She's doing the right thing. Let's burn her ass off. No, that's not how it works. It starts to burn your muscle instead. And now you have a flat fat ass, which is even worse.
That is worse.
Yeah. And I just described to you like every woman at Planet Fitness right now. She's not eating and she's on that treadmill. And all she's doing is burning whatever muscle tissue she's got left because she's not eating properly. And the fat's staying exactly where it's at. But, you know, the scale's moving a little bit and she's happy. And then it stops. And then she eats like, quote unquote, a normal person, whatever that is. And the scale goes up, you know, immediately. And then they're dejected.
Right.
And it's just, I can get passionate about it because in the fitness industry, when weight loss goes wrong, do you know who gets blamed, Tony?
Who's that?
The person trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right? You know who never gets blamed? The people giving the bad advice to the person trying to lose weight. They get off scot-free.
That's true.
It's the individual trying so hard. And so what I say is let's stop this nonsense and let's do it the right way. Advocate for yourself and you'll be shocked. You won't have to take my word for it. It'll just all come into play and you'll have a nice round booty and muscles.
I love the pictures that you draw.
Yep.
The pictures that you draw. I'm just like, okay. All right. Well, what's something smart to do? Let's say we're going to the gym. What's training smart as opposed to, not hard?
Okay. So training smart is knowing that I always tell people you're not getting paid to lift weights. No one's paying you to see how much you can lift. You are here to build muscle tissue. And that's altogether a different mindset, especially with my guys. Okay. So you want to learn how to lift correctly. And if you don't know how to do that, you can hire someone who can show you.
Okay.
And it's about time under tension and full range of motion, no cheating. And it's also about allowing the body to heal through proper nutrition and rest after the exercise is done. That's it. That's training smart. What's training hard? Training hard is thinking that you're getting paid for exercise, that there's a camera watching you to see how much weight you're lifting, no pain, no gain, that injuries are normal, right? And that if you're not lifting tons of weight, that you're wasting your time. That's not exercising smart. That's exercising as if someone's giving you money to be the best in the room. And that's okay if they are. Go ahead.
Right.
But and it's a huge subject, but a couple things to look out for is, are you there every single day thinking that it's going to happen faster? That might not be training smart. Are you feeling something that feels like pain when you're not moving after exercise? So believe me, my clients are very sore when we're done, but they don't feel pain when they're motionless. So you shouldn't feel pain when you're motionless. That's an indicator something's not right. Are you, is the person who's with you, are they paying attention to you, like literally in every moment of your movement and correcting you? Or are they just counting out reps and on their phone?
Gotcha. Yep.
Right?
Seen that in the gym. Yep. Seen that before.
Yeah. If you're in a group situation, is it about keeping up with the instructor who's been doing it for 10 years and is obviously more fit than you will ever be? Or is that instructor walking around and correcting you as you are trying to emulate the movement that they've shown you, and now they're helping you to do it correctly? So those are two different ways of going about a group exercise.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Are they encouraging you that feeling sick is a good thing? So how many times have you gone to a gym and if you begin to feel nauseous or you can't breathe, you're encouraged that that's where you need to be because that's where hard work is?
Yeah.
Right? So you need to be in oxygen to burn fat. So if you're nauseated or you can't breathe, you're not going to burn fat. And you're probably going to have a cardiac issue down the road.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's little indicators that you're looking for. That's working smart versus hard. Here's another thing. If you're on the treadmill, are you holding on? Are you holding on to the treadmill when you're walking the treadmill? Or are you walking with your hands down? Because you should be walking with your hands down, and you might only walk for 10 minutes and you'll be very tired, but that'll be smarter than holding on for 30 minutes while you're watching, a TV show.
Okay.
So off the top of my head.
Okay. Now, if a new person, let's say, once again, I love talking to the laymen out there, saying new person walks into you. Can you walk me through? It's just a generic person. Walk me through your workout day that you would give them. If they're just healthy, they're in the mid-40s, they're healthy, no medical conditions or anything like that. Walk me through a workout with those guys.
Okay. So first thing that we do is jumping jacks and squats to warm up. Okay. And that's going to tell me so much about them. It'll show me how tight they are around their shoulders. It'll show me their connection to their feet, and if we call it proprioception, if they have an ability to know where their feet are in time and space.
Okay.
I'll have them do a plank, and that will tell me a lot about their core strength and whether or not they're compensating by moving their head around or caving their scaps, their wings, and can they keep their feet together in a plank position. I will have them do a squat, and that will tell me a lot about whether or not they're using their quadriceps or whether or not they're using their hips and their powerhouse and the parts of their pelvis musculature that really create true core strength. And once we go through that, I will know before we even pick up a weight where they have tightness, where they have injuries, what I need to pay attention to, so that as we do all the exercises, Tony, they're in safety. And I know how their body is going to compensate, so we don't let that happen at the expense of a joint. That sounds complicated, but it's really, really not. You've seen it in the gym. You ever seen somebody do a push-up and their head sags?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. You ever see somebody do a push-up and their wings, we call those the scaps, come together almost touching?
Yes.
And their lower back is like completely arched and almost their belly's hitting the ground?
Yep.
And they can't keep their feet together, their feet spread apart?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know what I'm not going to have that person do?
More push-ups.
Yeah. Right. Have you ever seen someone do a squat and their back rounds and their knees go forward or cave?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what we're probably not going to do is just hand that person a weight and tell them to do X amount of squats and walk away.
Right.
They might have to do some static squats against a wall, or having you hold them up, or give them something to hold on to so they can build those muscles to where when they do it with weight, they do it without harming their knees or harming their lower back. You see? So that's working smart, right?
Gotcha. That is.
Right. They might do push-ups on their knees and to learn to access those muscles, which are just going to be just as hard.
Right.
Okay. And they're always going to do 10. Like they're always going to do 10 push-ups. It might be against a wall, and then it might be on their knees, and then it's on their feet. And then when they're really getting buff, maybe it's on one foot. And then when they're really strong and functional, then maybe we put a vest on them, but we never do 100.
Really?
Yeah. Why do 100 push-ups when you can do 10? That's going to give you the same amount of return, which is muscle density, strength, increased mass, and proper hormonal shift to youth and vitality.
Okay.
All right. So if I have a guy who can do 100 push-ups, the last 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever it is at the expense of his shoulders.
Right. Right.
So I'm not giving him money at the end of it because he did 100.
Good point.
And if I want him to be a machine, a monster machine, I'm going to put a 50-pound vest on him. I'm going to put cables on him so he has negative and positive resistance. I'm going to have him hoist one foot up on the other, or I might even have him raise one foot in the air. And when he's really a beast, I'm going to put him in tricep position with his hands underneath his chest.
Oh, those are monsters. Oh.
Right. But I'm never going to have him do 100 because that's just for show. That's not for go. Right.
Okay.
Right. So
okay.
I'm respecting his machine as something that's valuable that has to perform after he leaves my gym, not as the performance is not in the gym. No one's paying him to do 100 push-ups.
Right.
So I hope that makes sense. I get it.
That does make a lot of sense because you're always saying out there getting more reps of everything. It seems like doing more makes you better, but it's actually not what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It just it grinds on the joints. You're only as good as your joints can withstand. So it's, again, with the race car, you don't get a top cooler to go 350 miles an hour by having it go on a 500-mile track and seeing that they get faster every mile.
Right.
That's not how you make a racehorse faster either, by having it run marathons.
Okay.
So, and sprinters don't get faster by running marathons. So if you want someone to be functionally fit, it's not about endurance training with resistance training. That's so counterproductive. It's beyond belief.
Okay. So you see a lot of things about doing those resistance bands and all that stuff. Are those good for you? Just some part of the workouts, the resistance bands are good for you.
Everything's good for you if you can do it within the realm of proper form and function and within the realm of being able to recover from it.
Okay.
So dumbbells or machines or long bar or resistance bands, these are all excellent modalities. Kettlebells, excellent. Calisthenics, excellent. It's just how you apply them. Is your trainer teaching you how to use good form and function, time under tension, not compensating, paying attention to form that complements your posture instead of enabling it to be out of posture. And if you take all of those things into consideration, all of the tools available to us, Tony, are quote unquote good for us.
Okay. And
all of the tools available to us, not done that way, can be like horrifying.
Okay. Yeah, I have tight shoulders. My shoulders are shot. And when you were saying doing 100 push-ups, I'm thinking I couldn't get 10 in without crying. Oh my God.
I mean, how many times do you see, and I'm going to call CrossFit out on this, and I'll debate this with anyone. What in the heck is going on? Okay.
Yeah.
Having someone do 100 push-ups. Why? Because they get to say they did their WOD. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at all, I get mad about this, but all of these people who make CrossFit their amateur and or professional living, they're all juicing and they're jacked.
Really?
Well, do you really?
I'm not a CrossFitter, so
Come
I
on,
don't know.
Tony. Let's take a look at some of these women and men who, yes, Tony, they are enhancing their performance with means that the average person is not utilizing. And even if they're clean as a whistle, even if they are, okay,
Right.
their full-time job is based on all the modalities that the average Joe who's going to ride their kids to soccer in the minivan doesn't have access to.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So yeah, 100 push-ups are not all of that kind of extreme. That's ego-based exercise.
Ooh. What, like, I look at them doing what's that way they do their pull-ups, those they kick ups or they swing around. Those are not legitimate pull-ups, correct? I'm not bashing on CrossFitters, you guys, whoever they do their thing, but I just see that kind of pull-ups they do where they do all the swinging and kicking. I'm like, how is that a pull-up?
So CrossFit is exercise being turned into a competition. And I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, but that's what it is. And maybe in the beginning, they had an excellent motive, creating this new dynamic that attracted individuals to get off the couch. And that's a good thing.
Right.
And back in the day, I think they had a lot more parameters to where people graduated to different realms of the activity after they had proven themselves through form and function and ability. I mean, I think it was originally set up to be that way.
Okay.
But en masse, is it really that way in today's world? I would say it's not.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not. And neither are MMA gyms for that matter. Okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Where you have a lot of things going on in MMA gyms where the general population was, let's be honest, they went there for all of the right reasons, right, Tony? And then it just becomes an injury show because somewhere along the line, we as practitioners, instructors, teachers, perhaps we lose the context of what our role is.
Right.
And if we lose that, if we forget that people come to us, and I said this before, they're putting their health and their well-being in our professional hands. That is a huge responsibility. And unless you're willing to take that on with the amount of respect it deserves, I think all of us have to ask ourselves, are we doing that?
Right.
Are we giving the benefit of this to our clients? Are we asking all the right questions of our clients before we even begin an exercise program to make sure that they're in the best state they can before we spend the 40 minutes together so that everything is a positive and nothing is harming them?
Right. Right.
I guess that's the best way to say it. I think that's what, as practitioners, instructors, we need to ask that. And I think sometimes when we become athletes or we are athletes ourselves, I think that gets forgotten because it's easier for us to just slide into exercise mode and forget that we're dealing with people who can't slide into that easily.
That's true. That's true. I love that. I like the way you say that. That's pretty good. Yeah.
And that's why a lot of times we don't retain people for the long haul. That a lot of times we only retain people who are of the same mindset, and those people who need us the most, we lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I see that in a lot of MMA gyms out there I've been a part of that I've not even been a part of, but come through. You see them where they're, they make it a fight club as opposed, and they just brush the people off who wants to come in for, getting in shape, learn a little self-defense or whatever it is. And then they lose those guys and they just have a gym full of just, I would call them meatheads and dicks, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? And there is the dark side of fitness. And I think, that might even be an excellent podcast. But I mean, maybe we'll do a little bit of that here. There is a dark side to fitness that I think, and the health industry, in that, like I say, they know their audience and they know that the long haul doesn't sell. And so the public sometimes gets what they want, and that's not necessarily the best thing.
But on
And
that
you
same
know
note,
what?
what people want that fast. We've been programmed to want that fast fix. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Fast, easy, and less painful fix. You know what I mean? So
and we're
it's our
getting it.
fault for the most part.
Right. And so, you know what? Wouldn't it be great, Tony, if we started a movement where we're like, hey, guys, we need to band together. And I say practitioners because it's just easier.
Yeah.
Because there's instructors out there. Not everybody is a trainer. A lot of people are, Muay Thai instructors or boxing instructors, but it's becoming that's all kind of the same thing these days. We need to respect individuals, and we need to take ownership of being concerned about doing things the right way.
Yeah.
And being concerned about not just, did they sign up and are we getting the monthly fee? Little things like if your client comes in without water, say something, say, that's not really acceptable. You can't really work out for an hour without water.
Right.
Like put your foot down. I do. If somebody comes in to train with me and they're not prepared, we're not moving forward that day.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
It's just not happening. What do you mean you don't have water? And they'll look, I left it in the car. You know what I say? Go get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or here's another one. A person comes to a workout. Generally, this is kids, not adults. But, the adults pay pretty damn good money to have me train their kids to go from, AA to AAA. Kid shows up with skater shoes on.
Skater shoes.
Flat gym shoes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm like, what is that? And you know what? I have the parents, let's have it. Actually, that doesn't happen too often because generally if I'm going to be training the young ones, the first session, the parents are there and we go through the modalities of what I expect and what kind of shoes I want and what I want that kid to have in their belly before they come. And some parents really hate that. They're like, wow, she's a bossy pants. We don't like her very much. And other parents are like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then the ones who go through it, they really like it when their kids are AAA and running around like, supermen.
That's right? Awesome. But that's true though.
You have to have the courage to let somebody leave you for the quick fix.
Yeah.
You have to have that courage that, okay, I'm not into the quick fix. That's okay if we don't want to work. That courage is going to change the industry to help people.
That would, but I wish something like that would take place, because we have, like you just said, we have a lot of these quick fixes that doesn't help. It really doesn't help anyone. It does not help anyone. But, all the stuff you're talking about and listening to you, especially with the hydration, I know you should see my paper. I guess every time I talk to you, I take a crap ton of notes, and I hope everybody who's listening to this takes some notes too. Now, before we finish, give me something you can say this anybody can do, quick hack that can make them feel great right now, or even just before they go in the gym or in the first step on a mat somewhere. What would you suggest?
Magnesium spray all over the body.
Magnesium spray. Why is that?
Okay, so most people are magnesium deficient, and this leads to tight muscles, right?
Okay.
Magnesium spray is available just about anywhere these days. You can get it at the vitamin shop if all my clients haven't purchased it all. You can get it online. You spray it on your muscles everywhere, your traps, your shoulders, your chest, your lower back, your calves, anywhere where you're tight. I would say do it anywhere. Dress warmly. Have a balanced breakfast. I know that doesn't mean anything to people these days because that's a matter of opinion. Right. But have a breakfast after you've done your due diligence and research about an hour and a half to 2 hours before hitting the gym so that it can digest. Post a good night's sleep and don't hit that gym until you've hydrated for 3 days. You do that and you're going to have an excellent experience.
Okay.
That's a simple hack right there. You're going to feel the difference. You're not going to be so stiff. You're going to recover quicker. You're going to have energy to get through the workout. Simple. That and a nose strip.
And a nose strip. Yeah. I know those. Yeah.
That's a quick hack. Most people's septums are deviated. They don't know how wonderful it's going to be to breathe out of both their nostrils when they exercise. So go get a little strip at Walgreens. That's an easy hack. I used to pass those out.
Okay.
And a hot shower. Take a damn hot shower.
Okay. A lot of times people talk about the cold showers.
No. You're about to go exercise. So take a nice warm shower, warm up those muscles, put that magnesium oil all over your body, dress warmly, have that breakfast in your belly. None of this fasted crap before you go to exercise. 1.5 to 2 hours prior to exercise, you've had a good meal. Hydrate properly a couple days before, and you'll be a rock star at that session comparably.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm sitting there trying to write all that down. That's good because my process, not my process, something I've been doing, I think I talked to you about last time, is intermittent fasting. I just don't eat before noon. Don't eat after 8. So I guess I need to start eating a meal before I work out in the morning. I'm going to add that. Because it makes sense what you're saying.
So, yeah, I almost wish I could train you, Tony, and you would be like, oh, my God. So you're in good shape, right? You're in good shape. So basically, this is like the adage where when people are good, former athletes or current athletes who utilize this system, it's an easy way to maintain. But here's the thing. What you don't realize is you're probably under the impression that your physique as it is right now is what it is.
Right.
You would start implementing just small changes. You would start to grow like you were when you were in your 20s.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Your muscle density, your mass, your energy levels, cognition, hormone balance, and I'm just going to say it to that, your full circulatory system. So whatever you got going on, it's going to be more. And let's just leave it at that.
Gotcha. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Doesn't that sound good to you?
That sounds amazing. You're absolutely right. I like it.
Okay, so I mean, if you want to look good, but you also want to perform good in all ways.
Right.
And you don't want exercise to become something that you think you have to do because you don't want to lose what you've gained. You want exercise to be something that you do because you continue to feel like you are gaining something. Right. If it starts to feel like it's hurting you, it probably is.
Okay. One other question here, because as you're talking, I'm writing this stuff down. I'm thinking, because you have so much information, things keep popping in my head. And I know.
I know. I mean, and this is kind of like an unfun, like the good news, the bad news podcast.
Yeah, but I love it though.
Yeah, I know.
I know, but I want to hear what's because the Bible says 120 years. I'm going for all of them. You know what I mean? So I want to be around.
We're supposed to. They say that we can live to 120 based on our head circumference and there's some kind of way that they can figure out how long people live based on their skeleton. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I know we're designed to live a long time.
120 at least.
I want them all, so I want to get some more information now. Real quick on this last one before we go. What do you feel about I brought up a little bit before, but you see the fad. I don't know if it's fad, a trend, or whatever what's happening now about the carnivore diets. You hear those a lot. What's your thought process on that?
Okay. All right. So I love your questions, but I always hate them when you ask them too. Okay. So I'm gonna answer this not like Jen answering because I've been using my Jen voice I'm even boring myself a little bit. So
that's okay.
There's a reason that the carnivore diet, upon being implemented for certain individuals, creates a cessation of symptomologies that are negative. That sounds real fancy, but I said it that way for a reason. And that's because individuals who are suffering permeable guts, food sensitivities, and inflammation, and digestive issues, and perhaps even toxicity, upon ceasing to eat plant produce, and there's a reason that the plant produce creates this problem. It can be digestion. It can also be what's being sprayed on these plants. God, this is a whole nother horrifying topic. Yeah. Once they start eating high quality, grass-fed, sustainably sourced protein flesh, that does not permeate and create toxicity, believe it or not, like plants do.
Right.
Initially, it's a fix, but it doesn't fix everything.
Okay.
And so there are people out there who have gone to carnivore and they've had initially great success because the carnivore diet stops that permeability issue from creating other symptomologies.
Okay.
But it doesn't address why you were permeable in the first place. Again, it's the same thing. You can get rid of some symptoms by taking action, but the first place to start is, am I hydrated? Am I detoxifying naturally throughout the day? Is my endocrine system working as a family and not fighting with itself? Are my hormones balanced? Is my blood sugar regulated? Am I eliminating fecal matter within the transit time? Am I repairing because my sleep processes are correct? Once you establish that and you let the body balance out, here's what's important. Just some people need to switch off to saying, okay, you know what? You're not doing well with plant food, or you're not doing well with carrots, or this guy needs to stop eating nightshades, and this guy needs to start juicing post-workout because it's good for him. And all of those other things that are in the health and nutrition world that we hear about that have these benefits. Yes, they have their place, but they have to come in at a time where you've balanced it out. I hate to say this, but just a certain way before you go to the special way. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Because what can happen is you will miss something. So there are people who they go raw vegan and they'll say, I cured my cancer, but then 5 years later, they have issues from being raw vegan for 5 years. And then you have, so it's a convoluted, complicated subject. There are books that are written on the subject of why diets work for a certain amount of time and then they stop working. My answer is the carnivore helps some people who are in certain positions, but it is not addressing a root cause.
Okay.
And so always address the root holistic cause, and then you can determine what sexy strategies you want to implement at that time. That's the right time to veer off that country road into a specialized nutritional program. That's my take on that, and I stand pretty firm on that.
Okay, that's a good stand on. Okay, I like it. I like what you just did it all. You said it. You didn't say it was horrible. You just said everything is for different people, basically. But one other question, as you're talking again, I have one last one.
Talk, obviously, Tony. So yeah, no problem there.
I know this.
My dad used to call me Golden Flap, and that's embarrassing.
Oh Lord, Golden Flap. All right.
Yeah.
What? Now, this is one of my things I love. This is personally for me because I work out regularly. I do other things, but I enjoy my bourbon. I really do. Not a daily thing. Probably on a Saturday I'll have a glass or two of bourbon. Is that bad for your body?
No, if you're having a couple of glasses of bourbon once a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And no. But here's the thing. And as someone who's imbibed properly and improperly throughout my lifetime, I always say this to my clients when they tell me that. Okay. Clients who ask me if it's okay to drink alcohol generally are drinking more than they're telling me. That's number one.
Gotcha.
Because people who are not over drinking or haven't had issues of over drinking, they never ask me that question.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's number one. Number two, is it an airline pour or is it my favorite glass pour?
Right.
Because those are two different pours, Tony.
They are two different pours, and you're absolutely right. Okay.
So when I was drinking wine properly, 2 glasses of wine was nothing.
Yeah.
When I'm drinking wine improperly, 2 glasses of wine is a fucking half of, excuse me, can I say that?
No, you can say whatever you want.
It's a half a bottle. Have you seen those glasses that they sell at the store?
I know you're right.
So when a woman tells me she's drinking 2 glasses of wine, I give her that look. I'm like, what kind of glasses?
Right, you drinking 2 bottles, you mean?
You know it, because I've been on an airline where I'm like, I'll have a glass of wine. They bring me the glass of wine. I'm like, what the hell is this? Yeah, and then so
No.
right.
But you know what? You're right, and I do ask. The only reason why I asked that question because
am I going to get in trouble for saying FUCK on podcasts?
No, not at all.
Because I know they do that on Joe Rogan, so whatever.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. You can do whatever you want. But
okay.
I asked that because bourbon, that's my only, what you call it? If I have a vice, because I don't do a lot of things, but I love a puff of cigar every now and then. And I was talking to my buddy here. We were talking about different drinks, and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna stop drinking bourbon. I'm gonna start doing more gins or something like that." I said, "Why?" He said, "I hear bourbon's bad for you." So we don't drink enough to be bad for you. And so I'm like, well, I got a lady coming on my podcast next week. I'm going to ask her. So
listen. Again, if you're really true, and you know what, I'm going to kind of like say, I don't know your friend. Okay, so he could totally be telling you the truth. But anybody who's because I've been around fighters and I've been around military personnel, and I know man talk. If a man is thinking of going to a clear liquor, that's because he's drinking too much. I know my way around alcohol, and I'm saying if you're trying to go to the clear liquors, that's because you know exactly how much liquor you're drinking. So, I'm not judging, but if you're truly just having that nice 2-finger pour, okay,
well,
the 2-finger pour, 1 or 2 of those,
on
a Saturday night with a nice little stogie. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And I promise you, that's me. That exactly is a picture of me.
That's good for the soul. That's good for the soul. You know what I mean?
I do know. I do. That's the way I breathe. That's my candle. When you light your candles, that's my candles on Saturday.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But anything other than the 2-finger pour, and all that nonsense, I mean, we know. If you have to ask, you generally already know the answer.
Yeah, my body can't. I'm too old now. I can't drink like I was back in the college days. I can't even handle the 2 I do on the weekends. And I'm like, I'm a lightweight. I tell everyone I'm a cheap date. But anyway, you know what, Jen? These have been awesome as usual, this conversation. I love the stuff you have. I know we touched base on a lot of things, and we touched base on some things before that I want to hopefully get you back again to talk about some other things. And I think those are going to be some good things also. But tell us real quick, how can these people get a hold of you? How can they reach you?
Oh, you know what? Thank you for asking about that, Tony. So right now, I haven't reconfigured my social media, but you can find me on Facebook at Jennifer Lynn Oswald, OSWALD. And I'm also under Instagram with the same name.
Okay. Gotcha.
And they can message me. They can comment on posts. I'll even give my phone number. It's 815-451-9674. I ask prospective clients to text me, leave a name, number, and the reason for your inquiry, and then I will get back to you because I do not respond to numbers that are not in my list.
I feel you. That's smart. Very smart.
Right. And more than welcome to call and inquire as to what services I have available that would fit their situation, whether it be cooking or being a coach or training, or even just helping them to navigate. I do consults for people where we never meet, and I give them information that they can utilize to self-advocate and have programs for themselves so that they can do their own research, which I am a huge believer in.
Okay. Perfect. I tell you, Jen, I appreciate you more than you know. I thank you again for coming on. And guys, listen, if she gave your information, utilize that information. That's what we're here for. This Old Man on the Mat podcast is all about connecting people with people. And hopefully you guys will reach out to her and get some good advice. And maybe you can, have the guts to let her train you and put you back
Tony,
in shape.
You've got to go first. I challenge you.
Wait, I got to drink my bourbon. I can't hear you.
No. I'm going to go right here. Listen now. See, I'm surprising you, and you don't even have a candle lit.
Oh Lord, I need a candle. I
No,
need a
no, no.
candle.
I'll tell you what. You should listen. You want to
Uh-huh.
help these old people on the mat? You're an old man. You've got to come to
Yeah.
my mat.
You know what? I might take you up on that. I really will. And that's no joke. I'm not just saying that because I'm scared of you.
No,
I
you should
really
because
will.
you know what? You'll be able to tell them, oh my God, I did 2 push-ups, but it was different, and I felt
Yeah,
this, and it would be good. You'd help people.
I know. You're absolutely right. And I will take you up on that. Guys, you got my word on it. I will take her up on that, but I will have to drink my bourbon first. But anyway, guys, hey guys, you can reach out to her, find her, get some information from her. She's just full of knowledge, great knowledge, guys. And Jen, thank you once again, and I appreciate you more than you would ever know. All right, so we'll talk to you
Right back
again.
at you, Tony.
All right,
Okay.
girl. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, man.